Hey guys, seeing as how my Ivy is now sitting at a comfortable 70% win rate, I wanted to go ahead and officially make a build guide for this build I made for her in game. When I was starting out with Ivy, I tried a few of the top options and just didn't find anything that suited her qualities best. I see a lot of people using her for weapon damage gun build, and honestly, I feel like there are way better other hero options for this. I've also seen people trying for a full heal build, and I feel like Dynamo and Kelvin just do this better. This brings me to my Ivy build, the Pretzel Bomber. I call it this since when she throws her Q Kudzu Bomb, she sounds like she's saying Pretzel Bomb. Anyways, this build revolves around her Q and ultimate, both being on a very short cooldown, and when built correctly, can provide intense pressure to the enemy team, amazing defense in a pinch, and a solid split push if necessary. So for all of the items specifically, you can look up the build in-game. By the way, if you do use the build, don't forget to chuck a heart on it. If you like the build, I would definitely appreciate it. But I want to highlight a couple of the items specifically that might need a bit more explaining. For the second part of the video, I also want to go over exactly how to utilize the build and what strategies to go over through each phase of the game. I'll probably go ahead and chuck in some chapters here, so if you're interested in just one section, you guys can skip around to whatever you'd like. Now, you'll see the items are laid out in order in which you should buy them. Left to right is the general order. When starting out early, extra regen have been chucking on almost every hero. You can pretty much out-trade opponents all day long with extra regen. You're going to wind up selling this later as well as monster rounds. All this is written specifically on the descriptions, so you don't have to remember some of this. I'm just going to go over a few pieces of the key components. So early on, we're grabbing Spirit Strike, which is very important. It adds spirit damage to your melee attacks. The other thing you're grabbing is melee Lifesteal, which also builds into Life Strike later on. Your melee on Ivy is actually really, really strong, especially if you land on someone with the Gargoyle. But we're going to go into the strategies of how to do that later. I want to go over when you should lane and when you should switch to jungling. So after you've built all of these items, this is probably going to be somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes, maybe a little later, depending on how the lane's going in game. Once you get monster rounds, you can start clearing the medium camps. You can clear the small camps even before this. The small camps are very simple. But once you get monster rounds, you can start doing the medium camps. Once you get melee charge, you can actually start doing the large camps as well. So you're going to be trying to leave lane and jungle pretty much as soon as possible. If you're in a duo lane, let your duo take it. If you're in a solo lane, make sure to cover your lane's defense and just hit the jungle creeps in between, right? Push lane, you can use the Qs for that, and then jungle in between. I also want to mention that your Qs are great for jungling, but at this stage in the early part of the game, your Qs will be on a pretty long cooldown. So be careful when utilizing them to clear jungle. Your gun plus melee charge to reload your gun is actually really, really fast at clearing. So you don't actually need your Q, but it can speed it up. Just manage it properly so you don't run out and, you know, don't have it when you need it in lane. Also, around this point, after you get around melee charge or just into the mid game, you're going to be making runs to other lanes or just bombing other lanes with your ult. So around here is when you should start roaming, essentially. But let's go on to the rest of the parts of the build here. So I use Mystic Shot and Soul Shredder for a little bit of gun damage. Your gun damage on this is actually pretty impressive considering that you're not building for it. Because you have so much spirit and this stacks off spirit as well as Soul Shredder pulling their spirit resistance down, you tend to actually burn enemies pretty good. It's not your go-to. Like, you're not going to outgun someone who's straight up gun build, but if you're trying to finish off an enemy, it's very, very effective. Once you hit the late game, I have these all ordered from left to right, but I do want to note that rapid charge is very important. And once you grab this and Echo Shard, you're pretty much online. You can just go straight into Teamfight Strats. You can harass super well. After you get all of the items here, it's gonna hurt. I'm probably overlaying clips right now of what it does, but your Qs will be devastating. But there's not really much else to talk about specific items here. I just wanted to go over a couple key components and what you should be looking for before you do certain things. So melee charge before you do big camps, and rapid recharge Echo Shard before you start repetitively team fighting. And that's pretty much it for the items. Okay, so now that we've gone over the items, I do want to go over specific strats for each part of the game. So the first thing is laning strats. You want to focus on last hits. This is a champion that doesn't exactly just kill lane. While you can get kills in lane, it's not going to be your focus. Your build gets online later. So you're going to be maxing your Q first, but don't forget 1 point into Gargoyle for the cooldown. That one's very important because it provides an immunity as well as a little bit of a heal. You can use Gargoyle to heal like behind cover at your shop, but once you've done that, play safe. Like, don't just jump out there with no Gargoyle. It is your only thing that will save you from a lot of heroes' moves. You can use also W for a bit of sustain and trade, but honestly, you're not really going to out-trade a real gun hero. Like, if you're up against a Haze or a Wraith or something like that, they're probably going to out-trade you pretty hard. So don't just pop W and expect to win. What you can do to trade better is basically throw a bomb right on top of them and then shoot them as they're running out of it. That's going to be a one-way trade. They have to move out of it or they're going to take a ton of damage. So always try to combo your gun trade with a bomb. You can also throw it behind cover, which is super nice, or throw it at the shop for a ton of extra harass or potential kill. But that's pretty much all you want to be doing in lane, is focus on your last hits and then occasionally throw bombs and trade to keep the pressure up. After about 7 minutes or so, you're going to be into the jungling strats. Don't forget to like take care of your lane, but dip into the jungle pretty early. Basically, I've already covered a little bit of when you can start jungling, but I do want to note that as soon as you get that melee charge, just start wiping jungle. You're pretty much wiping jungle, ulting to gank lanes, jungle, lanes. Every 60 seconds, you have that ultimate, and it's really, really strong for engages. You can just basically go in, drop a Q, drop an ult, and then try and land on with the gargoyle if you've got the pressure. Don't always fully commit if your teammates aren't following up, or if they just are really healthy. Don't gargle on top of them on top of their tower. It'll kill you. But a lot of times your pressure will create them at half HP or something. That is an insta-kill. If you can land that gargoyle right on top of them and then melee them, they're dead. I also want to mention that when you're jungling, don't forget the jars, the gold jars with buffs, vending machines, and the urn. The urn is really nice. Obviously, there's just a general strat you can go for, but something specific with Ivy is if someone else grabs the urn, you can ult them over to the other point. I wouldn't focus on this. Like, it's not that important. You can run the urn on foot pretty quick, but if someone else is there and you're there, it's not bad to just pop your ult, get the urn in. It's a free win. They can't even react quick enough. It's over in like 12 seconds. Next on the list is going to be team fighting strats. So there are multiple things you're going to be doing here. One is just lobbing thorns from the back to prevent pushing. So first off, never be in the front. You don't have to. Literally, your main power is going to be in your Qs. So just keep chucking thorns, echo sharding, and chucking more thorns. Try and coat the entire area. It's actually insanely effective because the enemy just has nowhere to stand. Once you get reverberate or a mystic reverb, as well as escalating exposure, they just can't exist anywhere. And then once you've kind of got harass in, your guys are getting up in the front a bit more, and it looks like it's about to go down. Get in the air, throw some Qs right on top of them or right behind them, drop the bomb, which silences the whole team, drop another Q, and then gargoyle someone in the back. It is extremely effective. You're probably going to see a bunch of little clips of me doing this, but it is very, very strong. And the only thing that really counters you is a knockdown. If they bring knockdown, that sucks. But if they're not knocking you down, you have just free reign to just destroy someone. So practice doing that. Don't neglect your Qs when you're up in the air, because you can drop about 3 Qs before you end your ult because of the echo shard. So don't forget to Q, bomb, Q, or something like that, and then go ahead and try and gargoyle someone. I also want to note, if you don't double Q while you're in the air, you can double gargoyle. So you can actually drop on someone, go for the kill, and then if it's not going well, you can just straight up echo shard, gargoyle again. So keep that in your back pocket. It's still a good strat. Like, if you can hold out, or if you're just planning on maybe it's going to be a sketchy dive, save your echo shard for the double gargoyle. That's pretty much it for team fighting strats. The next on the list is split push strats. I just want to make a note that you can split push super effective with Ivy. Basically, you just go to a lane, don't even get that close to the minions, just lob your Qs from a safe distance. If anyone's showing up, back up. If it's really bad, get behind cover and fly. Like, most people just cannot catch you. So you're just a menace. And honestly, after you fly out, head to another lane and gank. There's usually a fight going on. So someone shows up to you, you're out of there, and suddenly you're helping another team, which means they're down a man. It's pretty effective. So just remember, split pushes in between your jungles. And then the last thing on the list, it's really simple, but defense strats, chuck thorns, and don't get caught. That's it. You're actually probably one of the strongest heroes in the game with this build at defending base. I've had games that went to 60 minutes because my team was just doing awful, but the enemy team couldn't push in because there was just no minions. Like, I was just throwing thorns out. minions were dying and they had to just face tank everything without minions. It's very effective, honestly. And most of the things get reinforced if there are no minions nearby. So if you're killing those minions soon enough, they have to kill all your towers with resistance. So just stay on top of the defense if they're hard pushing or they're winning. And I think this is part of the reason why my Ivy has a 70% win rate, because it can delay the match until you just wind up winning. So basically that's it for defense strats. But I think that's actually everything I have on the list for going over strategy. I am going to put some clips hopefully overlaid over this. And if you guys are interested in my gameplay, you can check me out. I'm on Twitch. I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/Nazori. I also think the next build I'm going to do is my Dynamo build, but honestly, it's not ready yet. My Ivy build is at a 70% win rate. Like, that's just really solid, and I feel confident saying use this build, it's going to work. My Dynamo is sitting at like a 50%, and I just don't think it's perfected yet. So that'll be the next build, but I'm still refining. So give me some time, and we'll publish that one once I feel like it's good. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Deadlock as much as I am. If you guys like the video, give it a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And that's it. See you around.